When we think of the great American fisheries, few stories are as dramatic or as vital as the pursuit of halibut. These giant flatfish, some weighing hundreds of pounds, are caught in one of the most demanding yet carefully managed industries on the planet. And at the heart of it all is a method that might look simple at first, but in reality represents more than a century of innovation: longline fishing. Longlining is one of the oldest yet most sophisticated ways of harvesting fish. At its core, it's a system built around a single, incredibly long line stretching for miles across the ocean, from which hundreds, sometimes thousands of shorter branch lines hang, each with a baited hook. These hooks, neatly spaced, create a continuous underwater gauntlet designed to attract and catch fish. But what makes longlining so important is its versatility. Fishermen can use it to target both bottom-dwelling species like halibut and cod and mid-water predators such as tuna or swordfish. By carefully adjusting the depth of the line, the type of bait, and even the hook designed, the gear can be fine-tuned to attract a specific species while leaving others largely untouched. In practice, this is how it works. At the beginning of the set, the crew prepares the line. On smaller inshore boats, the hooks might be baited by hand and coiled neatly into tubs. On massive ocean-going vessels, machines automatically bait the hooks as the line pays out over the stern. Either way, the process begins with an anchor and buoy dropped into the sea. As the vessel steams forward, the main line unspools, steadily hooks trailing behind like a silent army descending into the dark. For hours, sometimes even a full day, the gear is left to soak, waiting for fish to bite. When it's time to haul, a mechanical hauler brings the line back aboard hook by hook, as the deck crew carefully unclips each fish. Some hooks come back bare. Others carry small fish that are quickly released. But every so often, the deck erupts in excitement when a massive halibut surfaces, thrashing as it's brought on deck. These giants, sometimes wider than a man is tall, are the prize of the fishery. What makes longlining remarkable is not just its ability to deliver these catches, but also its efficiency. Compared to more destructive methods of fishing, longlining is considered selective and relatively low impact. Anchors may briefly disturb the seabed, but otherwise the footprint is small. By choosing the right hook-size bait, and seasoned fishermen can drastically reduce bycatch targeting halibut or cod while avoiding smaller species. Yet the technique is not without challenges. In some fisheries, seabirds like albatross are drawn to baited hooks floating near the surface, sometimes getting hooked themselves. Turtles and marine mammals can also become entangled. To counter this, modern fleets have pioneered a range of solutions: bird-scaring streamers, trailing behind the boat-weighted lines that sink faster beyond the reach of seabirds, and even moon pools, specialized openings in the hull that allow crews to shoot the line beneath the surface unseen by hungry birds above. These innovations are more than technical fixes. They are proof of how the industry has evolved, learning from mistakes of the past, adapting gear and practices to protect wildlife while still feeding millions of people around the world. The story of longlining doesn't begin in the modern era, though. It stretches back centuries to a time when fishermen fashioned hooks from bone and lines from twisted fibers. The principle, one hook, one fish, is as old as fishing itself. What changed was scale. In the late 1800s, with mechanized hook production, long lines began to appear with dozens of hooks. By the mid-20th century, automatic baiting and hauling systems revolutionized the trade, allowing lines miles long and bristling with thousands of hooks to be deployed with machine-like precision. Today, the contrast is striking. On a small boat, longlining might involve a crew of 2 or 3 hauling in a few hundred hooks by hand, each fish unhooked and placed in an icebox. On a modern autoline vessel, hooks are baited at speeds of 5 per second lines, shoot out at over 6 knots, and hydraulic haulers pull in thousands of fish in a single day. The difference is not just in technology, but in scale. Small family boats feeding local markets versus industrial fleets supplying global demand. Fishing, of course, is not just about technology. It is about people, men and women, who devote their lives to the sea. And while longlining has become a highly mechanized process aboard large vessels, it still retains a timeless rhythm that connects today's fishermen to centuries of tradition. One of the simplest, oldest, and still surprisingly effective methods is hand lining. At first glance, hand lining looks almost primitive. A single line, a hook, a bit of bait, and the patience of a fisherman. Yet in skilled hands, it can be deadly effective. The experienced handliner knows the subtle differences in line tension, can feel the nibble of a small fish versus the decisive strike of a halibut, and reacts with perfect timing to set the hook. To the untrained eye, it may seem like a game of chance, but the professional knows it is anything but. Everything matters: the type of hook, the strength of the line, the size of the sinker, and above all, the choice of bait. Even the time of day, the season, the tides, and the currents play a role. And when the fish finally takes the bait, skill determines whether it ends up thrashing on deck or slipping away to freedom. In many coastal communities, handlining remains an entry point into the fishing business. A dugout canoe, a few hundred meters of line, and determination for countless small-scale fishermen around the world. This is the first step toward a livelihood. For them, a single good catch of snapper or halibut can mean food on the table and money in the market. But when we shift from handlining to modern longlining, the scale transforms entirely. Instead of a single hook, we now have thousands. Instead of a single canoe, fleets of steel vessels ply the open seas, some staying out for weeks at a time. The gear alone is a marvel. On smaller boats, lines might be just a few hundred meters long with hundreds of hooks. On ocean-going longliners, the gear can stretch for miles, with tens of thousands of hooks baited and set in just a few hours. Imagine standing on the deck of one of these vessels. As the captain gives the order, the anchor and buoy splash into the sea. The line begins to pay out hook after hook, baited automatically by machines that never slow down. The vessel steams forward at 6 knots, unspooling line at a rate of 5 hooks per second. Within an hour, miles of gear vanish into the deep, marked only by buoys bobbing on the horizon. Then comes the waiting, the silent vigil, as the line soaks invisible beneath the waves. Each baited hook, a silent invitation to the halibut below. When the line is finally hauled, the pace quickens. The hauler whines, pulling the line back over the stern. One by one, hooks emerge from the dark. Some are empty, some hold bait stripped clean. Others carry fish codling, haddock, or the true prize halibut. Crew members move with practiced efficiency, unclipping each fish, resetting the hooks, and feeding the line back into cassettes or tubs for the next set. On the largest vessels, the system is seamless, almost industrial in its precision. But on deck, the human drama is the same, the shouts of crew as a big fish surfaces, the scramble to control it, the relief when it is finally subdued. Halibut are not like other fish. These flat giants with their pale white bellies and mottled brown backs can weigh hundreds of pounds. Bringing one aboard is not easy. They thrash with explosive power, and more than one fisherman has been injured by a halibut's tail or sharp gill plates. Some vessels even use specialized gaffs or harpoons to subdue the largest specimens before they are hauled on deck. Once landed, the fish are quickly processed, bled, gutted, and iced to preserve quality for markets around the world. Behind this efficiency lies careful regulation. Halibut stocks are valuable. and they are managed with strict rules. Minimum size limits ensure that juveniles are returned to the sea. Only male halibut above a certain length can be kept, while females, the future of the population, are often released. Daily catch limits, seasonal closures, and gear restrictions all work together to ensure the fishery remains sustainable. This is not just about conservation, it's about survival. Without careful management, halibut could easily be overfished. In fact, history offers stark warnings. In the early 20th century, halibut stocks in the North Pacific collapsed due to uncontrolled fishing. It was only through international cooperation, particularly between the United States and Canada, that the fishery was saved. Today, thanks to science-based quotas and rigorous enforcement, halibut fishing has become one of the best examples of sustainable management in the world. Of course, longlining is not the only way to catch fish. Trawling, gill nets, and purse seines each have their place in the global fishing industry. But what makes longlining unique is its selectivity and its ability to adapt. With the right gear, fishermen can target exactly the species they want, whether that's caught on the seafloor or tuna cruising the midwater. And because each fish is caught on a hook, the quality of the flesh remains high. No crushing in nets, no sand grinding into the skin. For markets that prize freshness and quality, longline caught fish often fetch the best prices. Still, challenges remain. Bycatch, the accidental capture of non-target species, is a constant concern. Seabirds diving for bait turtles drawn to hooks and sharks entangled in lines are risks that cannot be ignored. But the industry has learned and continues to adapt. Weighted hooks, bird-scaring streamers, and changes in fishing seasons have all drastically reduced unintended catches. In some regions, bycatch of endangered seabirds has fallen by more than 90%, proving that with innovation, fishing and conservation can go hand in hand. As each halibut is hauled onto the deck, the next critical step begins processing. Aboard modern longline vessels, the work is immediate. Freshness is everything. The moment a halibut is subdued, it is carefully bled, gutted, and rinsed in cold seawater. This step removes impurities from the flesh, ensuring the meat remains pure white and firm. Next comes filleting. The halibut laid across the processing table reveals its unique anatomy. Unlike most fish, halibut are flat with both eyes on one side of their head. This gives them a broad surface and makes filleting both efficient and rewarding. Skilled processors can carve out 4 massive fillets from a single fish, 2 from the dark topside, and 2 from the pale underside. Each cut must be clean, preserving the dense, boneless flesh, prized by chefs around the world. On smaller boats, this work is done by hand with sharp knives honed to perfection. On larger vessels, semi-automated systems assist the crew, speeding up the process while maintaining precision. Once filleted, the meat is either flash frozen at sea or packed in ice to be delivered fresh to shore. In some cases, halibut are even vacuum sealed on board, ready for export the moment the vessel docks. The goal is simple: to capture the freshness of the sea and preserve it until it reaches the consumer's plate. The value of halibut lies not just in its flavor, but in its consistency. Its flesh is lean yet firm, with a mild sweetness that adapts to countless recipes. From fish and chips in Alaska to fine dining in New York or Tokyo, halibut is a global star. Its versatility has made it one of the most sought-after whitefish in the world. But behind every fillet lies economics. A single large halibut can fetch hundreds of dollars on the market. Multiply that by thousands of fish, and it becomes clear why this fishery is worth millions annually. For coastal communities in Alaska, Canada, Norway, and beyond, halibut is not just a fish, it is a lifeline. It supports families, fuels local economies, and sustains entire towns. Yet this prosperity comes with risk. The sea is unforgiving and longline fishing is hard, dangerous work. Crews spend weeks at sea battling icy winds, crashing waves, and freezing rain. Sleep is scarce. Muscles ache and every haul demands relentless focus. A single mistake, a rope snagged a hook. Misplaced, a fish thrashing out of control can lead to injury or worse. For these fishermen, danger is an everyday companion. Life on board is a world apart. Days blur together as the crew follows the rhythm of the tides. Wake up, haul gear, process, fish, clean decks, set gear again, rest briefly, and repeat. Meals are simple, but hearty fuel for endless labor. Laughter and stories fill the galley, a brief respite from the cold outside. Friendships form under pressure, bonds forged in the shared struggle against the sea. And though fatigue weighs heavy, the sight of a deck piled high with gleaming halibut makes it all worthwhile. For many fishermen, the hardest part is not the work, but the absence. Weeks away from family, from children growing up, from loved ones waiting on shore. The paycheck is good, but the sacrifice is great. And yet they return year after year, drawn back by the call of the sea, by the pride of providing food for the world, and by the knowledge that their labor matters. Technology has eased some burdens. Modern longliners are equipped with navigation system sonar to locate fish and hydraulics to handle heavy gear. Satellite phones and internet connections let crews stay in touch with home. But in the end, the essence of the job has not changed. It is still about endurance, resilience, and respect for the ocean. Sustainability also looms large over every haul. Fisheries managers track stocks, carefully setting quotas to prevent overfishing. Crews are required to record their catches, noting not just halibut, but any bycatch as well. Inspectors check landings at port, ensuring every fish is accounted for. And while some grumble about the red tape, most know it is necessary. Without it, the halibut fishery and the livelihoods it supports could vanish in a single generation. Interestingly, halibut's story is also a story of innovation. In the early days, catches were unpredictable quality, inconsistent, and markets limited. But advances in refrigeration shipping and global trade changed everything. Today, a halibut caught off Alaska might appear in a London restaurant within days. Frozen fillets travel even further, filling supermarket shelves in Asia, Europe, and North America. The reach of this fish is global, and its reputation is unmatched. Still, halibut fishing is not simply about profit. For those at sea, it is about identity. To be a halibut fisherman is to embrace hardship, to master a craft, and to live in harmony with forces larger than oneself. Every hook set, every line hauled, every fish landed is part of a tradition stretching back generations. It is a way of life as much as it is a job.